My name is Thetic. I play drums in a band called Anti-Flag. Been around a long time. When we started playing music, punk rock was dead and nobody cared about punk rock music. And it's amazing that we are still playing music now, because nobody thought that anybody would be playing punk rock ever, you know, after '94. It was like, it's over, but it's still going. Well, it's interesting right now in our lives. Like last year we played to 300,000 people in Poland, and last night we played in a great show in Asbury Park to 300 kids. So you go from 300 to 300,000. That's the weird thing about punk rock these days, is some people like it, some people don't like it as much, and yeah, we play small shows and big shows. I like to play the show that I didn't play last night. So the big festivals are fun because there's catering and food and vegan food and stuff like that. And but sometimes you're so far away from the crowd that it's like you might as well be playing in your living room at home. And then, like last night in Asbury Park, the kids were right there. They're on stage. Everybody was in your face, and that makes me happy as well. We haven't been to Africa yet. It's interesting. At home I have a big map. It's life size. It's a life size map of the world. But I've put pins in it, you know, like you do. And the thing that's interesting about it is it was like, oh yeah, we've played all these places, but it really highlighted the fact that we've never played in the Middle East and we've never played in Africa. So those are the places that we need to go to that we haven't had a chance to go to yet. There's a couple big festivals in South Africa that we've been trying to get on, but we haven't been able to yet. So hopefully in the next year or so we'll be a cool enough band that they'll let us go to South Africa and play. We have a record company, and there's a band called World's Scariest Police Chases. They just their record came out on Tuesday, I guess, this week, and that's a band you should check out. The video is awesome. So you can go to afrecords.com and find the information about that. There's another band called All Dinosaurs that we're working with, and yeah, some really great bands that are coming out of AF Records, and there's great bands that are. Last night we played with The Holy Mess, another great band. So there's a lot of cool bands that are playing around right now, but they're not playing the bigger rooms. They're playing the smaller rooms. We did a tour with we did a couple tours actually with No Use for a Name early on in the late '90s. The California punk rock was really strong, and they would do really well on the West Coast, but then when they'd come to the East Coast, the kids weren't as into it. So they invited us to come out and do just the East Coast run with No Use for a Name in probably '97, '98, and that was one of our first real, we'd done basement tours and hall shows, but that was the first time we ever really played clubs outside of Pittsburgh. So that was with Tony, and it was really a cool experience to be with a real traveling touring band and have that experience. And yeah, it's a tragedy what happened to him and for his family and everything. And yeah, hopefully the money that's raised on this record will help his kids out a little bit and make their life a little less shitty than it is when you lose your dad like that. Low point was throwing, we were driving an RV up a mountain in California, and the whole thing caught on fire, and the only thing we had to put on the fire was urine in bottles in the back. So throwing urine on the fire to keep it from burning down our transportation in our home was a low point in our rock and roll lives. A high point was what was that? A high point was playing in Philadelphia with Rage Against the Machine on their Battle of Los Angeles tour, and having the Philadelphia police surround the stadium. It was whatever the big arena is there, and because Rage Against the Machine were supporters of Mumia Abu-Jamal, the Philadelphia police are very unhappy with it. They think Mumia is a murderer. So it really bummed out the police that Rage were there and speaking out about these issues. And that was, for me, was an amazing experience to see how music could really have a power to influence a local community. And then us going to Minneapolis for the Republican National Convention a couple of years ago, that was another high point, because again, it was people's coming together to express their opinions, and being a part of that experience was amazing for us. Well, the things that we need to be very aware of is that the ladies of Pussy Riot are still in prison, and when, for us, they're kindred spirits in the fact that they're musicians and activists who feel as though that music can change people's opinions, and because of that and because of their actions, they've been put into prison, and right now it's not going so well for them. So that is something that's very important. And the thing that's important about political prisoners is that political prisoners tend to disappear, and when people are not paying attention to them, that's when their treatment is the worst. As long as we're talking about them and they're in the news and in the media, it's very difficult to torture them as much as you can when nobody's paying attention to them. So those types of battles are things that we need to be talking about all the time. The political prisoners, like closing Guantanamo Bay, we need to make it so the powerful who are abusing people know that we're watching them all the time. So that's an important thing. Amnesty International does a really great job with that. If you're interested, check out amnestyinternational.org. But other things that we've done over the years, one of the things that was really important to me was the African Well Fund. And we raised money to build wells in Africa, and the reality of the fact that it doesn't take that much money to build or to create a well so people can have clean drinking water, and how it's such a simple process, and with just a very small amount of money you can change people's lives in a really dramatic way. That was also a very important thing that we were working on, and we're a big part of making a well happen in Africa. It's fun just to know that
amount of resources.
Yeah, and let me be clear, that wasn't us. That was
right.
Kids at the shows, that was people, a whole bunch of people in the community on all these fronts. None of these things can be changed by 4 dudes in a band singing 3-minute songs. It has to do with a lot of people coming together and deciding that it's important enough to talk about and to make change. Well, for us, we're going to finish this tour. We're out for another 3 or 4 weeks, and then we go home, and we started writing some new material before this tour, and we'll go home and finish writing some stuff, and then just in the spring just start touring again. That's what we do. That's what we've been doing for 20 years.
So 2014, we look forward to more tours.
More tours, more music, less sleep as always for me, but you know, there's no rest for the wicked.